Okay, let us message in our WhatsApp. So let me ask others to join. Okay, then majority of the people are here. Let us continue. Okay, with the yesterday session. Okay, all right. So let me share my desktop. Hopefully we are already sharing it. Yeah. Okay, I will deploy this. So we are learning the MVC examples. Okay, as part of this MVC example, the last session. So we have seen about how the validations are looks like. Okay, how do we handle the various validations using Spring Forms, right? How do we declare the Spring Forms and how the validations can be applied? So that is all what actually what we have learned in the last session, right? Now let us concentrate. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
So yesterday we are doing the validation using JavaScript for any, using the validation function, right? So
Okay.
can't we use Spring Security for validation and authorization?
Validations are different, and Spring Security is different. Spring Security is controls about for security related restrictions. Okay, the validations are nothing but for to get the valid data from the user. We will make sure that the user is supplying valid data. But even though if your application is designed with validations, but still as an attacker can attack your application if you don't have a proper security mechanism in your application. That can be implemented using Spring Security. Okay, by giving a authorization roles. Okay, and by defining authentications and authorizations if you apply, so then so your application will be more secure and protecting of your application securely from attackers.
Yeah.
Right, but validations are nothing but make sure that whatever the data which we are getting from not only a attacker, maybe that might be user also can be made a mistakes while submitting a dates, but we want to even restrict with them also. Okay, and don't uh, too much compare the validations in terms of security. The security is completely different, your validations are completely different. So validations are nothing but so accepting a refining data from the user. Okay, make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So let me launch this in browser. Yeah, so we have completed hello world, simple form, validation form. We still left with some of the form. Okay. Suppose, like so far, you showed me a form level of validations, right? So that sounds good. Whatever we are doing, it sounds good. So that is like a form level of validation. The each field is associated or binding with the server side, and then so you will come to know which field has failed with validation. Then we are able to display it. Okay. So when it comes to the next example, which I'm trying to explaining you about login form. Okay, so login form, if you go to login form, so I can still apply a basic validations and related to login form. Okay, I can still apply a basic validations I can apply, but the basic validations means, I mean, so username and then passwords fields are empty. Like this, I can still check a basic validations. But how about if user and entered given username and the password is that does not match with the database? If the given username and password does not match with the database, so do you have any built-in annotation for to check that? The answer for this is no. Okay, Spring cannot write. So for each your business scenario, they cannot write a validations, right? It may varies from application to application. So the application to application, your business validations, so business restrictions can change. So they cannot assume for all the different scenarios for writing the annotations, right? But what they did is, so they given a provision to configure a custom validations. And if you feel that, so there are some validation which you cannot do by using a Spring built-in annotations, so still you can apply your own custom validations. Okay, so your own custom validations can be applied your application. Suppose for example, so given username and password is incorrect in the database. Okay, you need to notify the user by saying that, so the incorrect details are provided, incorrect username and password, please try again. So these things cannot be done in any of the built-in validation, because so these two are, this error message what you are getting is interrelated to both username and password, right? How do you handle this? So, and that is what I am trying to explain you now about the custom validations. Hope you have already understand yesterday. So these two are the common validations which I have applied. Suppose if the given username, if I entered a Smith is my username, and then if I try it, so the first field validations are go off. And if I go to the second form, where okay, the second field, if I enter the field password is like, let's say maybe I have given a password is admin. If I'm trying and then if I'm submitting, if you see here, this is a custom message which is configured in our application. So invalid username slash password, and there is no built-in annotation for this. So the one which you are trying, okay, is a invalid. Suppose if I am trying with some other okay name, so maybe okay, maybe I can try with Johnson, okay, and then password is admin 123. If I'm trying like this, then if I do submit, but still I'm getting the same thing, invalid username and password. So then this is what exactly what is a custom message. So this is the custom message what we have developed, because so these are all the details you are checking at the database. If the database does not contain so this username, you will no longer allow the user to log in into the system. You will not authorize immediately. So without resolving this error message, he cannot log in into our system, right? So that is what we generally do in our real world, right? So but so what is the valid? I've right now hard coded because I have not connected to any database. Right now I hard coded for giving a given okay valid username is this Galvin. If coming as a username is Galvin, is my valid username, and password is King. Anybody knows who is Galvin King? Anybody knows who is Galvin King? No. Okay. Anybody knows who is Rod Johnson?
Founder of Spring.
Fantastic. Okay. So similarly, okay. So we have founder of Hibernate is Galvin King. So Mr. Galvin King is the founder of Hibernate framework, right? So as I am not using his Hibernate for to check in the database, so at least I was using his names to validate, okay, as hard-coded values I'm using to validate at my controller level. So Galvin King. Now if I do a submit, so I would expect, so these two are valid, and then, so if you see here, so those two are success. Basically this usually you need to check in the database, maybe by using Hibernate you can check in the database whether given details are valid or not, but I'm not checking in database, but I'm just hard coding at this point. So welcome Galvin, right? So which means that, so, and then I'm giving a back button. If you go again click on it, will goes to here in the back page. So that is how exactly it looks like for developing of your custom validations. Now let us go to look at, then understand the code, how it is looks like, how we have implemented that. Let me try to explain you. So first, if it is an index.jsp, you know that is a regular link will be provided. So that is login form, right? So whenever if you access this login form, so immediately this will goes to login form will be called. So it will look at, so whose URL is matching with the controller. I've written a respective controller associated with the login form.do is login controller. Let me open the login controller.java. This is to just to show off, so the form, empty form for the first time. Once they fill the, okay, so once the form means a login form, it will search in under webinf view folder. So is there in a JSP with the name of login form.jsp? This is as it is, okay. You have to follow, this is the original standards for to develop any MVC application. Once if you understand one workflow, it will be common for to adding of all the functionalities. So only thing is you will be adding your business requirement, but the standard architecture of your application remains the same. And this is the standards of which you need to follow for to design any workflow. Okay, so here is the username and password. So okay, form colon errors I'm giving you, and as it is, so this will be displayed. When you do submit, it will goes to login form.html. It will search with the controller with the login form.html. As I'm using the request mapping at controller level, only I'm variating this method to this method. If it is a get request, it will be show off, and if it is a post, it will, I want to process that login form. And as usual we are checking, so as usual we are checking if it is a validation form, then you need to check at the rate valid, right? And then binding results or model map. So in the login form, I'm checking first of all, is there any default error messages? By default, the form has the default validations or not, I'm checking. If that is failed, first of all, I want to display that error message, right? So that's what first stage, at very first stage, I'm checking the result has any errors, I'm checking. If it is has any errors, so then first default errors will be displayed this. Okay, it will not check at this time the username and password is valid or not, right? So this time a default error message which I'm returning. In case if these errors are success, then after that I am checking my custom message. So what I'm doing here, in the login form, I have a username and password field. Whenever the user is entered the details, so that will auto populate to this form, right? It will auto fill these two fields, right? When you fill the data in the, so here, so if you submit, so that will auto fill in username and password field, right? From there you can read login form dot get username, it will give you username, and if it is dot equals so with this name, then it means that it's a valid, but if it is a not equaled, then this is a invalid. Either if it is a username is wrong or password is wrong. If anything is failed, I want to say both of them are incorrect, because we don't want to give a chance to saying that only your username is wrong. Also, we don't want to say that only your password is wrong. Okay, so because this is a security related thing, right? So security related check. So, and simply what I'm doing is, if either of them is wrong, I'm saying that either invalid username or password is entered is incorrect. So how do you display that error message? So far we are using annotation, so it is automatically doing it. But so do we understand what and how it is really coming up, what internally it is processing, how that is being doing it? If you understand that, so then the custom message is very simple. For to add this internally, each and every custom message, they have an internal logic. It will check like this kind of conditions. Okay, then if there is anything wrong, basically that will add inside of the bind result object. In the bind result object, so what it will do, bind result dot, so there is a method called reject value is the method. And for this reject value, you need to pass three different parameters. The first parameter indicates in which property you want to display, and the second property, what is the message key and what is the message value. Okay, so these are all the different arguments that you need to supply. And the first property name which I want to display under username, so that's what I'm using. The so username is the property name, and the key which I'm using is, okay, you can use any key, because I'm not reading anywhere else from here. I'm directly appending the message here. So if you want, you can also read this is from property file, so then you can follow. This is the format. Okay, so your annotation name. So at this now it's a custom annotation, so I'm giving invalid user. This is my custom annotation. Dot name of the form dot your property name. So then I'm giving a message is invalid username slash password is incorrect. So immediately when you add any error message in the binding result, so you need to return into the same form. If you return in the same form, it will pick this message. Okay, for this property, this will read this key and then it will display that message. This is how you need to define your custom validations. You don't need to depend all the time your built-in validations. You can also still write your own custom validation check in your application. Your business requirement application also you can check. You can display it accordingly. So if it is this validations are success, if this validations are success, I want to redirect the users to a page called loginsuccess.jsp. Loginsuccess.jsp will be opened. I am just displaying welcome. So whoever is the username is entered and that, and I'm giving a login tag button. That's it. Any questions? Any questions on the custom validation check? Okay, so the silent which indicates for to me, so hope everybody's understand. Okay, so moving on. Ankur, if you have any questions, so please use your audio. I don't understand your question. How would fund login controller means? Not able to unmute me. Even I don't have a control actually. Looks like you are muted from yourself. If we have muted, then so I should able to see. Okay. Prashanti has to leave for emergency work to office. She left. Okay. Yeah. So if you have any questions,
Actually,
now we have
how's
to
can you tell me again how's finding login controller?
finding login controller. Are you asking about how the login controller is calling? Is it your question, Ankur? Sure. Is it your question like how the login controller is found? Is it your question?
Yeah, yeah, right.
That is what are basics, right? So which we'll learn. So it is depends on your request mapping. If your request mapping is matched, so then this controller will be called,
Okay, okay.
right? So that's the fundamental. So wherever, okay, if you are writing a request mapping at controller level or if you're writing in method level, it will check. So if the request mapping is being placed in both controller as well as method, it's a combination of both this check. So request mapping, and then if it is a get method, so this will be called request mapping, plus if it is a post, this will be called. Okay. So moving on into the next example. So moving on in our next example is about, uh, so I showed you about for only one custom validations, right? So how about if it is a multiple custom validations? How do you do that? Okay. How do we handle? How do we, okay, so handle if it is a multiple validation check? For that, I have designed another example is registration form. Okay, very commonly you are seeing in nowadays in most of the websites while you are registering, okay, at the time of registration, they'll ask you to enter the password and confirm password, right? So they'll ask you to check, so given the password and confirm password is valid or not. Usually for this, we don't have any built-in validation annotation for to check. So the given password and confirm password, both the fields are same or not. Okay, we don't have that check. So then definitely you need to define a custom check. And for email, yes, for email we have built-in annotation. Okay, and for some of the fields which you have built-in validation, but still I'm not using, I'm writing my own custom validation check. Suppose example for username. Username must not be empty. This is not a predefined validation which I'm using. I'm using my own custom validations. But however you can use it, but I just want to replicate how they are internally using the code. The similarly exactly I've used here to identify how this username is empty, and that is what a error message so which I'm adding. And so similarly, I'm applying all the validation for this username field. I'm also applying for password and confirm password. So for the custom validation check. So I'm doing a multiple validations, custom validation check. Okay. Now let us try to understand. Okay. So here, if you enter username field, so some value. So I'm only checking is empty and I'm checking a maximum limit. So these two are the custom validation check. So if you are exceeding a maximum limit, okay, so 50 characters, I am checking a custom validations. Then if I do submit, you see whichever is coming in green color that represents I am doing here as a custom validation. So username must not more than 50 characters. So this is also again a my custom validation check for this. Okay. Next for password and confirm password, I'm doing the same thing, and let me check in the email. Okay, so if you entered some, okay, some ABC, so this is the built-in validation, built-in email validation. So not a well-formed email. So again, this is a built-in message. I'm not customizing anywhere. And if you just write ABC at the rate, even that is also invalid. So then if you write abc@gmail.com, then it should be a valid. Make sense? Okay. If I write, so username is Srinivas. Okay. The password and regular passwords are okay. If I entered some password here, if I entered some password, okay, here, and both are I'm intentionally not matching, and the email address is this I'm entering. Then if I do a submit, so if you see here again, this is my custom validation. So the password and confirm password are not matched, right? And make sure that the password should be fields or should be get emptied automatically, because of those are all password fields. We should not pre-populate, right? So password and confirm passwords are not matched. So this is also once again custom validation check. Suppose if you entered both of them are valid. Suppose I will enter password is okay. I'll enter some password like test123 something like this. Okay, I'll cut this for your reference. I'm just okay written here. I'll paste the same password here. I'll paste the same password here. So now in this case both are same or not, because I copy pasted, right? So now if I do a submit, so exactly should match. Now I'm getting a message saying that so welcome and your registration is successful, and your given username is this, and you have used the password for registration is this. Make sense, right? So how I handle this, and what code we have implemented for to apply multiple validations. Let us understand. Okay, I'll close other files. I'll keep this file. Okay. For the registration form, okay, I've given a equal. I've written a equivalent controller registration form controller.java, registration controller.java. Okay. So in this, okay. So for normal display purpose, for a display method I have written, and same controller level of method checking, and if it is a post method for processing the result. In our previous custom validation check, what we are doing within this process, we are checking whether given okay validations are, I mean the given thing is given details are right or wrong. We are directly checking in the controller itself. Yes, that is a good practice if it is only one validations. If it is a more than one, and don't okay interpret the logics or the business logics or validation checks within the same controller class. Don't deviate the control principle. The controller principle is to the only okay accepting the request and then sending the request and then delegating the request to the next layers. So that is what always better to if you are doing a more than okay so multiple logic. So if you are doing it's better to write in a separate class for to do all the validations. Okay, for that I did a okay I've written a separate class called registration validation is the class. Okay, have written a separate class registration validation. If I'm doing auto varying, it will automatically inject the objects, right? Via setter injection it will inject. So inside the registration validation class, I have written a method called validate. For this validate method, if I want to check what I need a form object plus I need a binding result, because I need to store all the errors here, and I want to read the data from what is entered by the user. I have this. I am passing those two for my validate method. So if I go to here, okay, and this is your form object, your binding result object. The binding result is nothing but error object only. So this is your form object. I'm getting a form object back. So here is the logical conditions of which I'm checking. Okay, so we have some built-in classes for to check whether the given field is empty or not. Okay, we have a class called in Spring Framework. So there is a built-in class called validation utils. So validation utils is the built-in class, so which is available in Spring Validation Framework. So this validation utils has couple of methods, and one of the method will be used for to check whether, okay, the username field is empty or not, whether the username field is empty or not, which you can check. Okay, so for this, what details so that you need to supply, you need to pass a different parameters. Okay, one is, okay, one is you need to pass the errors objects, then you need to pass the field which you want to validate, and then so what is the error code, what is the error code. So I think I'm using this one, I'm using. Okay, errors, and what is the field, what error code is, and what is the default message that you want to pass it. So this is what I'm using, right? And so if there is any error internally, this method is responsible to add, reject the value, and for to add everything which will be done internal inside of your code. It will do previous login message what we did, and the same thing will be done by this method. You don't need to do that. You need to pass object, you need to pass which field you want to check in the form, and then so okay, and what error message so that you want. If it is a not empty check, so this is especially I'm using for not empty check. So if it is a not empty, I'm using my custom annotation name is not empty, a form name is registration, property name is username, and username must not be empty. This is my own custom message, right? Internally, without our knowledge, they are doing like this. Okay, if you are working on any forms, so not empty annotations. So if you are using, if you see here for username, I am not using any annotations. But what could be the logic? So they might be doing internally for the red not empty. Is this is the logic? So what they want doing it. Okay, that is about for empty check, for empty validation. So you have a built-in. But so do you have like this for every, okay, every validation check? The answer for this is no. Only they have given only couple of, so these are all the, okay, only methods. So they have provided part of validation utils. Okay, not like a so much of other methods. And for to check other, okay, think suppose I want to check the length of the user. Okay, if the length of the user is exceeded the username, I want to decline that. So for this also, what I am doing here, I'm just getting registration.get username. You will be getting the username, because we don't have any built-in function for to check. I'm manually checking user.length is greater than 50 characters, which means that so that is exceeding the length of username field. And simply previous case, however, I did the same thing, errors.reject value for which field username, and I'm giving custom annotation name is length of user, and registration is form name, dot property name is user, and username must not more than 50 characters. And the same thing I'm also doing for confirm password. You don't have any built-in validate, okay, check. So registration dot password dot equals to registration dot confirm password. I'm trying to comparing both equality. I'm checking password and confirm password is same or not. If both are not equal, then only I want to add a reject value for the password field. I'm giving custom annotation name is matching password. The form name is registration. So property name is so password. The password and confirm password are not matched. That's it. Okay, like this. Not only okay this validation, you can write hundreds of validations, hundreds of your business form validations can be done under this validate method. Okay, so rest of other validations I've handled here. For password, normal basic validation like not empty and then size I'm checking. For okay confirm password I'm checking not empty. For email, there is a built-in annotation called @email, and then not empty I'm checking. So these two for okay, and rest. So whichever is not available, then rest you can still go ahead and then perform your own custom validations like this. That's the overall explanation of your registration example. So once if it is get success, it will go to registration success.jsp. In the registration success.jsp, from the form I'm reading username and password, I'm displaying after your registration successful. So let me try to display. So welcome. So whoever the person is registered, okay, and your registration is successful. Okay, that's it. So that's pretty much. Okay, it's coming. Welcomes Srinivas, and the registration is successful. Something like that. All right. So any questions on this example?
In that validation util where you have used, there you have used a component tag.
Is
Hello.
it validation tag? Ankur,
Yeah. Here at the rate of component.
which file?
No, no.
Okay, okay,
Util.
here, okay, here.
Yeah. At the rate component registration validator we have wrote, right? So what is the use of this?
Which one? This one?
Right.
It's just okay. Once we declare a bean, we will define a name for the bean, right? For bean ID or bean name. So for this, okay, every component is nothing but a bean. Okay, for bean, if you want to give some name, you can give it this name. If you don't want this, and a default name will be given. So that default name will be and will be accessible in the across the application. So if you don't want also simply remove it, and the default name will be registration validation. And I don't want to be okay given a bean name is registration validation. I want to give registration validator is my bean, and the same can be used. Okay, and for wherever you are using.
But we are not using that, right?
We are
Are we
not
using?
using because I am not okay looking up the bean. So if you are looking context dot get bean, if you pass that bean ID, then you need to do that. Otherwise, you can simply remove that. Okay, let me remove it to avoid a confusion. Okay, and even you don't need a separate amount. So all this code can be eliminated.
We can auto while also that being right, correct?
Yes, that's what I'm doing here. Auto wiring.
That util bin.
Little bit.
Right.
That's what I'm auto wiring.
Yeah, right. Two ways, correct.
Okay. Any other questions from anybody? Okay. So let me see some messages came here. Promote where the validation is written that the password must be 4 to 20 characters. So are you asking about validation message, uh, Pramod? Okay. It is normal process, right? As usual. Okay. So if you see here, the maximum password, if I have not mentioned here directly using message attribute, Either it should be reading from, okay, property file, or it should be getting from default message. So the first approach is directly it will read from here. If I don't see any message attribute, then it will search in the property file. So if you go to that's the second step. If you see in the property file, I have written here size dot registration dot password. Password must be between 4 to 20 characters. So which means that it is reading from your properties file. Okay. Even if you have not written here, the default messages will be returned. That's what we learned from retrieval of your message. Only 3 different ways. The first way is you can directly write message attribute. The second way is okay from reading message properties, and the third one is from default error messages. You have to follow the same thing. Okay, so these are all the guidelines, so which will not change. Any questions? Okay, sounds good. Okay, so the one last example. So okay, with that, so the basic MVC form examples will be completed. So okay, that's not such a great example, but I would like you to notice, for you all, if you are, I don't know how many you have really worked on the concept of file upload functionality using in servlets and JSP. If you have worked on servlets and JSP, you will really come to know what is the pain point or pain areas for to perform a file upload functionality in servlets and JSP. So along with, suppose I have a small registration page where I want to register all my information. Along with that, I want to upload my resume. So in this case, what you need to do, you need to read a regular form data, plus you need to read the file content also. So that is not that easy job. Okay, that is not that easy job when you are really working on the concept of the file uploads. Okay, so you have to do a lot of things to get it done. You have to do a separate extraction for the different form fields, and then you have to get the separate binary content. You have to do such different things. Spring framework, okay, is avoided completely everything. Okay, so however you are using a regular forms, you can still use the regular forms, and your normal form data will be auto populated into the normal properties. If it is a file object, then it will populate to a separate built-in class is provided to populate any binary objects into that particular object, and that is what I'm trying to speaking here. Okay, so even though if it is a file upload concept, it is very easy. You don't need to do any special logic to handle this. So regular forms only it supports. Okay, but if it is in servlets and JSP, you cannot do that. Okay, you have to write a explicit of so much code to so do extraction of both fields individually, right? But that can be avoided completely here. Just its normal regular forms only, which I would like to show you that here in this example. Okay, so let me browse some file and move it to some locations. Maybe I'm uploading from C drive and then uploading into some G drive, like this. From one drive to one drive you can copy and paste it. So that's the intent of this example, but the concept you need to think about it. Okay, let us choose a file upload example. Okay, if I go to file upload example, okay, and I said, okay, I said uh, I will be doing a JavaScript client-side validations. I said I'll be showing you. Okay, in the upcoming sessions, I think Pramod or someone is asking a question. Can you show me some custom validations? Sorry, client-side validations. So I think that is what I'm doing here. So if you choose a file with the wrong extension which we are not interested to accept, okay, suppose I want to read some Java file, okay, I want to upload this. If you try to upload this, my JavaScript client-side validations are activated and saying that please enter image file extensions only, that is only JPEG or PNG or JPEG only accepted for to upload in this upload process. Other than this, you cannot accept any other extensions. So make sense what I'm saying? So only the image files are allowed for to upload, okay, but not any other files. That's the intent of, so we are doing a client side JavaScript validation for to check. So this will always prompt you a validation error message saying that so only this message, so and you cannot go forward, right? You have to definitely choose a valid file. But as I said, so this client side validations are not really safe in all the time, right? So how, suppose now we are doing a client side validations. So if my client is smart enough and he can go to disable your JavaScript validation. As of such now, so this is not allowing me to upload any file. If you see in the console also, I'm not able to see any file is not uploaded. So I can still, this is make it disable immediately. How? Go to settings. I showed you yesterday how you can disable client-side validations. So now let me show you that in practically. So go to advanced tab, okay, content settings and disable JavaScript. I'm disabling this guy. Done? Done? Now if I go to upload file, because I've not refreshed, so let me refresh and choose the file again from the same location. If I do upload blindly, your JavaScript validation will be ignored. See, upload. I don't think so. Page is not refreshed perfectly. Okay. Choose the file hello world.java and upload it.
Srinivas, just press Control F5.
Yeah, sometimes otherwise I'll re-close the browser and open it. See here, this symbol was not there previously. For some reason, yeah, you are right. So sometimes, so browser did not recognize the settings you made. So now if you see a JavaScript is disabled, right? So now let me try to access http :/string mvc examples project, file upload a file, choose a file hello world.java and upload it. I don't know what is doing here. Settings. JavaScript is blocked. Is there any other way that I can disable?
Srinivas, can you press Control F5 on upload example page? Just check.
Control F5. Okay, I did that, right?
Control F5.
Yes, I did that.
Yes.
Okay. I think let me say in a Google. I mean, am I doing? Am I rightly disabling this? Okay. JavaScript. Disable and Google. Maybe they might have given some other option for 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 yeah. So if you go to Chrome advanced setting under privacy section, content setting button, then what else? Let me see. Okay, if I need to do anything for Google description, please enable JavaScript. Okay, so I don't know. Okay, maybe and advanced settings. Where is privacy? Printing system. Where is it? I don't think so. Privacy and security. Under, I think I'm sure that's this one only. This one only. Okay. This one only. Okay. So looks like, am I allowing any other sites? Okay, you can disable, but still you can allow some sites. Might be it is doing like that. Let me remove if any sites. I don't want to allow any other sites. Okay, then shit. Okay, not maybe file or Java. Let us access some other, maybe might be some reason. So let us access some other file. Okay, but basically,
Now symbol is coming actually.
what is that?
Now symbol is coming, block symbol.
Okay. Okay. Let me open some other files. Okay, I'll open session notes. This is the notes. If I upload, see here, that's perfectly uploaded. Yeah, I think you are correct. Maybe so. This is a browser issue. I don't know what purpose. Okay, that is see here. Basically, I should only accept the image, but so my file is uploaded. My Java file is uploaded. See here. So text file is uploaded from, okay, so some from F drive to some E drive, it is uploaded under images folder. If you see, if you go to under images folder, now you should able to see this file. Okay, with file name it is uploaded perfectly. So see here somewhere here, if you see just before 1808 9 o'clock, it is uploaded a file, right? So because how this is being possible, because I have been disabled JavaScript. So you have disabled client side validation, so that's the reason. So it is allowing, right? Suppose if I'm going to be choose some Word document, so let me choose some Word documents. So even it will allows you to even upload Word document. Then what is the case of to handling client side validations, right? There is no use. Suppose you can choose Word document or PDF or whatever it is. Suppose I want to use, okay, some the annotation docx. So if I do upload, if you see my file is uploaded into where, if you go to this drive, so there is a file which is uploaded, right? So just before these two files are uploaded, but still, so you can see here the file is upload is started, so and so file, then it is uploaded. But actual original intent is to not allow this. But however, it is allowed and then it is doing because of your client side JavaScript validations. Now what I think might be, I think I'm allowing from localhost. I think yesterday I selected, that is the reason. Previously it is how it is coming, I think. So if I select here allow, right, even though I have disabled, I mean, so even though I have saying that it is disabled, but I'm allowing for only this particular site. So what will happen is, so it will not check whether it is disabled or not, but it will still allow. So now if I check it, upload, see here, now you are getting error message. I think that's the only problem. Okay, I have not deleted properly, because so now if you see, even though my JS are disabled, okay, JS are disabled, but originally it is disabled, right? But this site, yes, it is allowed, because some sites you can make that kind of flexibility, you can give it, right? But sometimes, so some sites are not. Okay, so let us now enable. So now if you see, same file is now it is not allowing me, because I don't want to allow, I don't want to block for this site. I want to allow for JavaScript validation for this site. So that's the reason I am not able to do it. Now what I can do, I can select the image, Spring MVC architecture diagram, which I want to import it. I have selected this, then upload this. So now image is successfully uploaded into E drive, Spring MVC diagram. So if I go to here in the images folder, if you see, a new diagram is also uploaded. like this. So you can upload various files. Let us look at the code. Okay, so if you see here, so each the file size, how much file size I am displaying here, multiple files we have uploaded into the system, right, from different drives to different drives. So and all of them are uploaded and then it is displayed here. Let us understand that. Okay, so if you go to index.jsp, I am calling file upload index.do. The file upload index.do means of which controller it will go up. Okay, I think so it will come to this controller, right? So this is for a just display form, right? And then so it will open up the JSP called upload file.jsp. So here is what I am doing, client-side JavaScript validations. Whenever if you want to do any client-side JavaScript validation here, I'm checking for document.getElement by ID. So in the JavaScript coding, for this field I'm reading, if the image dot value, okay, that image dot, okay, the extension is, if dot jpg or dot png of this extension is matching, then only allowed. Otherwise I want to prompt this message for the every time for the user saying that so please select this, and I don't want to submit this action, I will returning that action to false. Even though user selected a submit button, but he will stay on the same page, right? So that's what I'm returning false. This is how you can define a JavaScript client-side validations. Okay, all right. So now whenever if you select a form, so this is your regular form, I'm using a normal form. Whenever if you want to submit a form, the form along with the uploads, definitely form type must should be, it is not HTML form. Form should be encrypted because you are sending a binary content. As file is nothing but a binary content, you need to encrypt a file for to transfer this file over the network, encrypt multi-part / form data. So this is the attribute you need to use for any form upload, even from sublets and JSP also you have to use the same concept. Okay, if you people are already worked on this concept, they will be well aware of it. If people are not worked so far, okay, they would be knowing this. Okay, it's the first time you would be knowing this. Okay, and you have to use encrypt, so multi-part / form data. So you are sending a form data plus you are also sending the upload content, right? So here is the form field. I've not added any other form fields, but right now I'm just only choosing the file to upload it. Once if you submit, the action will be submitted and then it will call the upload file controller. So this method. Okay, file upload controller will be called. Here I'm checking is there any errors in the form. If it is any errors, okay, it will go back because in my upload item is my form class. So here if you see, however you write a regular form fields, even you can also write, but there is a built-in class for file form data they have given is commons multi-part file. That is what I want to speak about. This is a built-in class which they provided. So Spring will be responsible for to auto-populate of your file contents into a object called commons multi-part file object. It will make sure that it will automatically separate your complete form data plus, and it will also separate your binary content, then it will populate into this built-in object. So if you see here, it is automatically even setting the file name also. If you see, I am not sending anywhere the file name explicitly. So it will automatically even categorizing the file name and then it is auto populating it. So the file name plus, okay, it will also setting up the file data, both are been there in this upload item. Okay, and then what you need to do, you need to read the data from this objects, then you can write in some X drive or Y drive wherever you want, and that is what I am doing. So that's a normal process again. So okay, here is the file upload process is started. The same message you have seen already in the console. right? So here is, you have seen, for example, so upload item.get file data means that will return a multi-part file, right? So that is what a multi-part file is, what we have declared here, right? So you are getting a multi-part file, and multi-part dot file dot if size is greater than 0. If it is a valid file, then only I want to process. I'm checking the size. If it is greater than 0, yes, I want to read. So suppose if you want to put any restrictions, like suppose if someone is uploaded a 6 GB file, such a huge file which you don't want to allow, you can still do that check here. If file size is greater than some 6 GB, you can write that figure, whatever the figure that you want. If that is a big file, then you can return an error message saying that, so please upload a the size with this size. You can put whatever that you want. You can put whatever you want. But right now I'm just checking, but I'm printing in the console, but file size. But so you can return this back to the user saying that upload a valid file. Okay, so that's what I commented a return thing here. So then it will print the size. Okay, then where you want to, okay, place this file, where you want to place this file. So under E drive images folder, the I want to save with the same with original file name, whatever the original file name is coming. So who gives you this original file name? Again, Spring multi-part file will knows that. Okay, so this is also another challenging if you are doing in a, so if you are doing in a regular file upload concept, so you will lose the original file name, but here it will even captures your original file name as well. If you do file dot original file name, that will give you the actual name of the file which is uploaded, and you will get a file name. The same file name I am writing output stream, and I hope you know the files concepts, right? So we are writing the content and reading from here and writing into the E drive images folder. We are writing into there. That's it. And finally, I'm closing the output stream and input stream. That's it. And finally, I'm redirecting to file upload index.jsp. This JSP will be open, and where we are displaying here is this is your pages open and displaying the content. That's it. Okay, so you can also even you can also put some restrictions check in the Spring configuration file. For that I have enabled for multi-part resolver. For in order to do this all these operations, you need to enable a built-in multi-part resolver class, that is commons multi-part resolver class. For to perform this file upload concept, for to make it so these are all separate, you need to use a resolver class. That resolver class is responsible for to auto populate of these fields and separating of your form data, making do that all these things will be done by a resolver class. That should be configured in a Spring configuration file. So commons multi-part resolver is what you need to use to supply it. So make sense? So that's the end of your Spring MVC examples project. Any questions?
Srinivas, actually, I have a couple of questions. First is this one. Can you go to that previous file?
Which file?
Output
Acceleration?
stream we are writing somewhere, right? So let's say the no, no, not this one. Upload file controller.
Okay.
So here output stream, input stream we are using, right? So usually we write in try catch block, and we can show our custom exception. So in this case, if this will give any exceptions, so how Spring will show some awkward exceptions, right? So can we write some custom exception in this? And are we going to
Why
cover
not?
in
Why not?
marks?
Absolutely, right? So you have binding result objects here. You can add whatever custom error messages so that you want in the binding results. The same thing, so you can read in that JSP, in the file upload JSP.
Okay, okay,
Same thing, same can be applied here. Your file size is exceeded, we cannot upload your file process. The minimum file should content is this much. You can add that error message here. However, wherever you want in the across the check, you can add that.
okay. Another one is right in the JSP file, upload file.jsp.
Okay.
We are writing a return validate. What is difference between on submit? We are writing return validate. So what is different between validate and return validate?
Where is return validate? This one?
Right, right.
Okay, on submit will work conditionally based on what validate method. So whenever if you submit, basically directly it will goes with the action name. But I don't want to go with any action name. First of all, I want to validate my JavaScript validations. So simply what we will do, we will call the JavaScript method in on submit event. Whenever the submit is fired, immediately this on submit event will be executed and validate method will be called. It will validate. If the boolean value, given boolean value is written as true, then it will submit the action. Okay, so this on submit will depends on the return value of this function. If the return value is true, then it will submit. If return value is false, then it will not submit.
If we write just validate, then will it work the same?
You can also
Same.
write, but that is not a proper syntax. So people will write like that also. Directly also they will write a people, but that's not a right syntax.
Okay. Okay.
The valid syntax is always okay. On submit is depending on the return value of this function. That is what the meaning of the return here.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, all right. Okay, so sounds good. So I think I would say that so on the Spring MVC, I would say that so 80 to 90% of the concepts has been covered. Okay, as part of the MVC. So that's the mostly pretty much what we uses, and rest of other topics I will try to introduce in the next session. If possible, we'll try to close in the next session on the concept of MVC. Okay, all
Shrey, do
right.
we have session tomorrow?
Usually yes,
Hello?
right? Usually yes, right? Only
Yeah.
Sunday we will not be having a session.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So we will be meeting on Saturday because as you are many of you are requesting not to have a session on Sunday. Okay. Let us not to have a session on Sunday, but we can meet on Saturday. Okay. All right. So have a good day to all of you and see you on the next session and bye bye.
Thanks, Srini.
Thank you,
Bye bye.
Shrey.
Thank you.
Bye.